Have you ever been blamed for something you didn't do and watched the whole room believe it? Have you ever stood there silent while lies about you traveled faster than any truth you could speak? Have you ever felt the cold weight of betrayal from people who smiled in your face just days before? Listen to me very carefully, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just a message. It's a reckoning. It's the sound of truth walking back into rooms that tried to lock it out. And if you've ever been falsely accused, framed, or turned into the villain in someone else's story, this moment was written for you before time began. They told the same lie so many times it started to sound like truth. The whispers became weapons. The group chats became courtrooms. And you, the one who never raised your voice, never played dirty, never fought back, you became the villain in a story you never wrote. But here's what they didn't tell you. Here's what they never saw coming. You weren't being destroyed. You were being set apart. The same silence they mistook for guilt. That was restraint wrapped in divine strategy. The same isolation they thought would break you. That was protection while the truth gathered its witnesses. Because God doesn't just defend the innocent, He exposes the fraud. And right now, in this very moment, the mask is cracking. The lies are rotting. And the people who framed you can't sleep at night because deep down they know the universe has flipped the mirror. Joseph was thrown in a pit by his own brothers and framed by Potiphar's wife, but what was meant to bury him became the foundation of his throne. Daniel was thrown to the lions for praying to the one true God, but the mouth of the beast was sealed by the hand of the Almighty. Jesus himself was betrayed with a kiss, accused by false witnesses, and condemned by a crowd that chose a murderer over the Messiah. But 3 days later, the grave couldn't hold him. You see, chosen one, they didn't frame you because you were weak. They framed you because your presence exposed what was fake. Your light made their masks slip. And instead of fixing themselves, they tried to dim you. But here's the shift. The room that once turned its back, it's starting to turn around. The people who believed the lies, they're starting to feel sick in their spirit. Not because you said anything, but because truth doesn't need permission to rise. Thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and press that like button. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Because this isn't just content. This is a movement of truth. And if you've ever been framed, falsely accused, or made to feel like you were the problem type, I'm still standing in the comments right now. Let the enemy see that the lie didn't work. Let the world know that truth is still breathing. And let the universe confirm what it already knew. You were never the villain. You were the witness. And the trial is over. Do you know what it feels like to watch someone build their kingdom on top of your grave? Have you ever seen people smile at your funeral while wearing the crown they stole from your head? Can you feel it right now? That sickening memory of watching them rise while you bled in silence? Listen closely, because what I'm about to reveal isn't theory. It's the anatomy of calculated betrayal. And if you've lived it, your body already knows this truth before your mind can name it. They didn't accidentally hurt you. They engineered your destruction. They sat around tables, real tables, digital tables, whispered conversations in parking lots, and they plotted. They nodded in agreement. They smiled while twisting your reflection into something unrecognizable, something they could sell to a hungry crowd. Because that's what they needed, not truth, but a story, a villain. And you chosen one, you were cast in a role you never auditioned for. They built entire careers off your pain. Every tear you cried in private became their content in public. Every moment you suffered in silence became their testimony of survival. They wore your wounds like jewelry and called it authenticity. They turned your quiet heartbreak into their loud platform. And the world, oh, the world, ate it up. Because people don't fact-check emotion. They don't verify tears. They just consume the performance and move on. But here's what they never told the audience. Here's the part they edited out. You were never the villain. You were the sacrifice they needed to feel significant. Think about Joseph, 17 years old, favored by his father, hated by his brothers. They didn't just dislike him, they plotted his death. Genesis 37 tells us they saw him coming from a distance and said, "Here comes that dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits." But they didn't stop at the pit. They sold him into slavery, dipped his coat in blood, and made their father believe his beloved son was dead. They sat at the dinner table that night, watching their father weep, and they said nothing. That's not impulse. That's design. That's engineered cruelty. And Joseph, thrown into that pit, had no idea that the darkness wasn't his ending. It was his preparation. Because here's what the enemy never understands. Truth doesn't die when it's buried. It waits. It breathes under the dirt. It grows roots in the dark. And when it rises, and it always rises, it doesn't come back quietly. It comes back roaring. And right now, in this very moment, can you feel it? That roar building in your chest. That's not anger. That's confirmation. That's the sound of lies collapsing under their own weight. That's the universe saying, time's up. They thought your silence meant defeat. They mistook your stillness for surrender. But you weren't frozen, you were planted. Every day you survived was another root going deeper. Every insult you ignored was another layer of armor forming. Every night you cried yourself to sleep was another brick in the foundation of your vindication. They were performing for applause while you were being forged in fire. And now, right now, the temperature is rising for them. You can see it in their eyes when your name comes up. That panic, that guilt they can't swallow, that shame that sits heavy on their chest at 3 a.m. when no one's watching. Proverbs 26:27 says it plain, whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and a stone will come back on the one who starts it rolling. They built your grave with their own hands. They measured it. They decorated it. They invited witnesses, but they forgot one thing: God doesn't let his chosen ones stay buried. The same pit they dug for Joseph became the pathway to the palace. The same lion's den meant to devour Daniel became the stage for his deliverance. The same cross meant to end Jesus became the doorway to resurrection. And the same lies they used to bury you are now the evidence exposing them. Can you feel the shift? The energy is different now. The room that once mocked you has gone quiet. The people who once celebrated your fall are now choking on their words because the truth didn't need your defense, it just needed time. And time, beloved time, is a truth teller that never lies. What they built on your pain is crumbling. What they gained through your destruction is rotting. And what they thought they killed is walking out of the tomb wearing authority they can never touch. Because, chosen one, they tried to rise by burying you alive. But they forgot you were planted, not buried. And what's coming up out of that ground isn't the person they tried to destroy. It's the force they could never become. So the question isn't whether you'll rise. The question is, are they ready for what's about to break through the surface? But here's where it gets deeper. Here's where the Holy Spirit pulls back another layer. Because what they said about you was never really about you at all. Have you ever noticed how the loudest accusers are always hiding the darkest secrets? Have you ever watched someone point fingers with such confidence that you almost believed them until you realized they were describing themselves? Have you ever wondered why their lies about you were so specific, so detailed, so perfectly crafted? Almost like they were reading from a script. They'd lived themselves, chosen one. Let me tell you something that's going to shift everything you thought you understood about betrayal. Accusation is the weapon of the guilty. It's the shield they hold up to protect themselves from the very judgment they deserve. When someone frames you, they're not exposing your character. They're confessing their own. They're painting a self-portrait and signing your name to it. And the reason their lies felt so personal, so brutal, so calculated is because they were. They were describing exactly what they themselves had done, were doing, or were planning to do. That's not coincidence. That's projection. That's the psychology of guilt trying to outrun its own shadow. Think about it. They called you manipulative, but who was pulling strings behind closed doors, turning people against you with rehearsed tears and calculated stories? They called you untrustworthy, but who was the one whispering different versions of the truth to different people? They said you were unstable, but who was the one panicking, changing their story every time new information surfaced? Every accusation was a confession wrapped in your name. Every lie was their truth, wearing your face. They took their shame, dipped it in your silence, and threw it at your reputation like paint. And for a season it stuck. But paint always peels when it's not meant to be there. You know this pain, don't you? Maybe it was in the church. You served faithfully for years, and then one Sunday, the whispers started. Someone said you were divisive, that you caused problems, that you couldn't be trusted. And suddenly, people who used to greet you warmly started avoiding eye contact. The committee meetings you once led now happened without you, and the pastor who once praised your dedication now questioned your motives. But what they didn't tell the congregation was that the person spreading those rumors was the one embezzling from the offering plate. What they didn't mention was that the accusations of division came from the very people trying to split the church to start their own. You weren't the problem. You were the mirror they couldn't face. Or maybe it was family. Years of being the one everyone leaned on the one who showed up, the one who sacrificed. And then something shifted. Suddenly, you were called selfish. You were accused of turning your back on the family, of thinking you were better than everyone else, of being cold and distant. And the whole family believed it because the lies came from someone with a silver tongue and a wounded ego. But what they forgot to mention was that you set boundaries because they were draining you dry. You stepped back because they were taking without giving. You protected your peace because they were poisoning it. Their accusation of selfishness was really their anger at losing control over you. Their claim that you abandoned them was really their confession that they'd been using you all along. Or perhaps it was at work. Decades of loyalty, of showing up early and staying late, of training the new hires and covering the shifts no one else wanted. And then came the accusation you weren't a team player. You were difficult to work with. You were holding the department back. And management believed it because the lies came from someone who wanted your position, your reputation, your years of earned respect. But the truth, the person calling you difficult was the one creating all the drama. The one saying you weren't a team player was the one sabotaging everyone else's success. The accusation wasn't a reflection of you, it was a projection of them. So, here's what I need you to understand. Beloved, what they said about you was their confession, not your condemnation. Their words were the evidence of their guilt, not proof of your failure. Every accusation was them describing their own heart while hoping no one would notice. And now that the truth is surfacing, now that the mask is cracking, now that their own words are haunting them, you don't need revenge. You just need to stand still and let the mirror do its work. Because the same reflection they tried to destroy is now the one exposing everything they tried to hide. And if you're sitting here right now, finally understanding that their lies were never about you, that every word they spoke was them confessing their own darkness while hoping to dim your light, then take a breath. Let that weight fall off your shoulders. You were never the villain in their story. You were the truth they couldn't control. And now that same truth is setting you free while it binds them in the consequences of their own making. Can you feel that shift? That's not bitterness, that's clarity. And clarity, chosen one, is the beginning of your vindication. When your world was falling apart, where were the people who said they'd always be there? When you needed a hand to hold, why did every phone call go to voicemail? When your heart was breaking in real time, why did the room that was once full suddenly feel like a tomb? Let me tell you something that's going to hurt before it heals. The people you thought were your family, the ones who sat at your table, who knew your story, who promised they'd never leave, they weren't tested by your success. They were tested by your suffering, and beloved, most of them failed before the first tear even dried on your face. This isn't about holding grudges. This is about facing the truth that your breakdown wasn't just a crisis, it was a courtroom. And every single person in your life was given one question. Will you stand with truth when it's inconvenient? Or will you run when the crowd turns? They ran. And some of them didn't just run, they joined the crowd throwing stones. When you needed loyalty, they gave you gossip. When you needed defense, they gave you silence. When you reached out drowning, they pulled their hand back and said, I don't want to get involved. But here's what they didn't know. Here's what they couldn't see. Every silence was being recorded in heaven. Every turned back was being written in the book that never forgets. Every fake, I'll pray for you, while they whispered about you, in the next conversation, God saw it all. And chosen one, He's still seeing it now. You weren't losing people during that dark season. You were losing masks. You were watching the costumes fall off. Because loyalty means absolutely nothing until it's inconvenient. Anybody can stand with you when you're winning. Anybody can celebrate you when the table is full and the lights are on. But who stays when the power goes out? Who sits with you in the hospital room when there's no audience? Who answers the phone at midnight when your voice is shaking and you can't even form the words? That's the test. And the results came back clear. Think about Job, a man who had everything: wealth, family, respect, health. And then in one day, it all collapsed. His children died. His wealth vanished. His body broke out in painful sores from head to toe. And where were his friends? Job 2:11 says they came to comfort him, but when they saw the devastation, they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him because they saw how great his suffering was. At first, that sounds beautiful, but then they opened their mouths, and instead of comfort, they brought accusation. You must have sinned, Job. God wouldn't allow this unless you deserved it. His own wife told him to curse God and die. The people who should have held him up became his prosecutors. But here's what Job said in chapter 19, verse 25. I know that my Redeemer lives, and that in the end he will stand on the earth. Even when everyone else walked away, Job knew who was still standing with him. That's where you are right now, isn't it? Standing in the wreckage, looking around at the empty spaces where people used to be, and it hurts. God knows it hurts. Because you didn't just lose acquaintances. You lost people you broke bread with, people who knew your middle name, people you thought would carry your casket one day. But when the storm came, they weren't interested in getting wet. They watched from a distance, phones in hand, recording your pain like it was entertainment. Some of them even felt relief, because your fall made them feel taller. Your silence made their opinions sound louder. Your absence made their presence feel more important. But listen to me very carefully, chosen one. God used your heartbreak as a sieve. He let the pressure come, not to destroy you, but to filter out everyone who couldn't handle the real you. Only truth could pass through. Only genuine love could survive the shaking. Psalm 66:10 says, For you, God, tested us. You refined us like silver. Silver isn't refined with gentle heat. It's refined with fire hot enough to separate the pure from the impure. And what you went through, that betrayal, that loneliness, that moment when you looked around and realized you were standing alone, that was the refining fire. God wasn't punishing you. He was purifying your circle. You weren't abandoned, chosen one. You were protected. You weren't betrayed by everyone. You were shown the truth about everyone. And that truth, as painful as it is setting you free from carrying people who were never meant to go where you're going next. So, if you've been pruned by betrayal, if you've watched people you loved walk away when you needed them most, type "refined, not broken" in the comments. Let that be your declaration. Let the enemy see that the test didn't destroy you, it defined you. Let heaven know that you're still standing, and the circle is cleaner, stronger, and built on truth. Because loyalty isn't measured in who shows up when you're shining. It's measured in who stays when the lights go out. And beloved, the ones who stayed, they're the real ones. And the ones who left, they just made room for the blessing that couldn't fit while they were taking up space. Do you remember that season when everything seemed to collapse? When it felt like the whole world turned its back on you? When whispers followed you into rooms and silence became the only voice that would still sit beside you? You thought it was the end, didn't you? You thought you were being buried, forgotten, erased. But chosen one, what if I told you you weren't buried at all? You were planted. They hid you in shame, not realizing that shame was never your tomb. It was your shield. The universe was covering you, not to bury you, but to protect you, while your roots grew deeper, stronger, unshakable. You thought you were in darkness because you had fallen, but you were in darkness because light needed time to prepare your re-emergence. They thought they had won. They thought their gossip, their lies, their public humiliation would crush you. They built their spotlight out of your name, desperate for applause, desperate for validation. They stood tall on the stage of your supposed downfall and smiled as the crowd clapped. But the same spotlight they fought for now burns them while you shine quietly. That's how divine justice works. It doesn't come with noise. It comes with timing. When the time is right, God doesn't just lift you. He lets those who mocked you watch it happen. The ones who once laughed now lower their eyes, not out of shame for you, but shame for themselves, because they see it now. You weren't gone. You were growing. Isaiah 61:7 says, "Instead of shame, you will receive a double portion." That's not just a verse. It's a prophecy over your life. Every moment of humiliation, every rumor, every cruel word was fertilizer for your future. While they were planting lies, God was planting you. While they were busy performing in the light, you were being refined in the quiet. Think about a seed. When it's pushed into the dirt, it feels buried, suffocated, cut off from air and light. But inside, something sacred begins to happen. The shell breaks roots, reach down, and life begins to form in the dark. That's what God was doing with you. You thought the soil was punishment, but it was preparation. You thought the silence was isolation, but it was incubation. You weren't buried. You were planted. When they hid you behind lies, they thought they were erasing your influence. They didn't realize they were protecting your integrity. Because while their names rose fast, built on deception and noise, yours was being written in permanence, engraved in heaven's book of endurance. The noise they made has already faded. But you're still here, quiet, steady, rooted, and that's why your rise will last. Chosen one. God used the very weapon meant to humiliate you as your shelter. Shame was the soil where grace grew. Every rumor became mulch for your strength. Every false accusation became rain for your patience. Every closed door became insulation from distractions that would have derailed your calling. What you thought was rejection was redirection. You were hidden because visibility too soon would have destroyed your harvest. Look back for a moment. If the people who betrayed you had still been in your life, would you have seen clearly? If the noise had continued, would you have found your peace? No. You needed the darkness. You needed the silence. It wasn't a grave. It was a greenhouse, and God Himself was the gardener. He watched you through the pain. He watered you with tears. He shielded you from eyes that would have judged your process too early, because what He was growing in you couldn't be rushed. Flowers bloom in the open, but oaks are built underground, and you chosen one were never meant to be a flower. You were meant to be a tree that provides shade for generations. That's why your humiliation had to be public, but your healing had to be private. God didn't want the crowd that mocked you to claim your restoration. He wanted it to be undeniable that it was His hand alone that lifted you. That's why, when you rise, no one will be able to say they helped. They'll only be able to say it had to be God. Can you feel that? That quiet turning inside your spirit? That's restoration taking root. Every dark season you endured was divine protection in disguise. They thought hiding you would silence you, but it only gave God a better stage to reveal you. There's something poetic about how heaven balances injustice. Those who mocked your fall are now restless, haunted by the realization that your peace outlasted their performance. They can't stop thinking about you, not because they care, but because your calm exposes their chaos. Their spotlight has become a furnace burning everything fake, while your stillness has become your sermon. And now the tables are turning. Slowly, gracefully, silently. The same mouths that once gossiped now tremble when your name is mentioned. The same eyes that rolled in disdain now watch in awe. The same hearts that tried to curse you are now forced to witness your blessing. Because that's what God does with the chosen. He lets your life preach what your words never could. When people bury you in lies, God makes sure your truth grows through concrete. When they try to silence your story, He writes it in the sky. And when they hide you in shame, He hides you in grace. So, chosen one, lift your chin. The dirt that once weighed you down has become the proof that you were never gone. You were being grown. And soon, when your light breaks through, the world will understand what they were never supposed to define. They thought you were hidden in shame, but you were hidden in safety. They thought they buried your name, but God engraved it deeper. They thought your story ended in silence, but the silence was the start of your song. And when it finally plays, it won't sound like revenge. It will sound like redemption. You weren't buried. You were planted. Have you ever watched someone dig so deep a hole for you that they forgot to notice the ground crumbling beneath their own feet? Have you ever seen someone so consumed with trying to destroy you that they accidentally destroyed themselves? That's what divine reversal looks like. That's what happens when heaven decides the story has gone on long enough. Chosen one, they built your grave, but they fell into it themselves. Every trap they set became their tomb. Every lie they spread became their confession. Every scheme they planned became their undoing. You didn't have to fight. You didn't have to beg. You didn't have to plead. You just stood still and truth fought for you. The same hands that tried to bury you are now clawing at the dirt, trying to escape the pit they created. Their whispers turned into shouts, their fake confidence into panic. Because the stage they built for your humiliation became their stage of exposure. They set the lights. They wrote the script they called the crowd. And now they're the ones standing in the center, stripped of their masks, trembling under the spotlight of their own lies. That's poetic justice. That's God's signature. He never needs to announce himself. He just lets the truth echo so loud that no one can pretend they didn't hear it. Remember the story of Haman and Mordecai in Esther 7:10. Haman built gallows 75 feet high to hang Mordecai, the man of integrity he despised. But by the end of the story, it was Haman who hung on the very gallows he built. That's how the divine works. The weapon formed against you becomes the evidence that vindicates you. Every scheme backfires because heaven has already written the ending. They thought you were helpless. They mistook your silence for surrender. They assumed your stillness meant defeat. But while they were plotting, God was positioning. While they were whispering, God was writing. And when the moment came, He flipped the script without warning. Suddenly, the applause stopped. The crowd fell silent. The very audience they courted started asking questions they couldn't answer. The same mouths that shouted your guilt are now stuttering over their own contradictions. The same eyes that watched you fall are now wide with disbelief watching you rise. You didn't unmask them. Their obsession with destroying you made them rip it off themselves. They became their own revelation. Their downfall wasn't your doing, it was divine orchestration. When the truth finally stood up, their lies sat down. When the light broke through, their shadows ran out of room to hide. And now, what once looked like victory for them has turned into evidence for you. You see, chosen one, God never needed you to defend yourself because the trap they dug was too shallow to bury purpose. Every time they plotted against you, they tightened the rope around their own deception. Every accusation became a brick in their own wall of exposure. They thought they were building your grave, but heaven was building your platform. Look at your life right now. Look at the shift in the air. You can feel it, can't you? That calm after the storm, that quiet vindication. You're not shouting. You're not fighting. You're simply existing, and your existence is the loudest testimony of all. You survived the setup. You outlived the slander. You became the headline that can't be rewritten. They thought this would destroy you, but it defined you. They thought it would humiliate you, but it crowned you. They thought the end of your reputation would be the end of your relevance, but all they did was make your name unforgettable. That's the thing about being chosen. The more they push you into the dirt, the deeper your roots go. The more they plot, the more your purpose expands. The more they hate, the more heaven accelerates. Their betrayal became your breakthrough. Their cruelty became your confirmation. Do you see what's happening now? Their energy has turned against them. Their lies are eating away at their peace. Their manipulation has become their prison. The same gossip that once drew a crowd now isolates them. The same alliances that were formed against you are falling apart under the weight of mistrust. Because deceit can never hold unity. Falsehood can never sustain friendship. And while they scramble to keep the illusion alive, you're over here walking in peace. You're not watching them fall out of vengeance, you're watching them fall out of revelation. Because when the truth returns, it doesn't ask for permission. It simply takes its place. This is the reversal season. The season where the last becomes first. The season where the quiet are honored and the loud are silenced. The season where every lie told in darkness is dragged into daylight. It's not karma, it's kingdom. They thought they were exposing you, but they were exposing themselves. Because everything they accused you of, they were already guilty of. Their obsession with tearing you down only magnified how insecure they really were. Their fixation on your faults revealed their fear of your authenticity. You never had to prove who you were. Time did that for you. Truth did that for you. God did that for you. And now, all those who clap for your collapse are watching you rise in a silence so thick it feels holy. Because now, they know they didn't just underestimate you. They underestimated God. The trap was never for you. It was for them. God let them dig it just deep enough to expose their motives. He let them build the gallows just high enough for everyone to see their fall. He let them weave the web so tangled that they couldn't find their way out. And while they laughed, thinking you were done, heaven was laughing louder because every move they made was setting the stage for your vindication. That's divine irony. That's justice with precision. That's the sound of tables turning. And now, chosen one, you don't even have to defend yourself. Your peace is your proof. Your survival is your sermon. Your stillness is your sword. You've learned that vengeance isn't your job, it's God's choreography. He doesn't strike in anger. He moves in wisdom. And when he moves, nothing can stand. Chosen one, you are the living proof of what happens when faith outlasts falsehood. You are the testimony that tables do turn. You are the evidence that God never sleeps on justice. They built your grave, but heaven turned it into a garden. They wrote your ending, but God rewrote it into a beginning. And now, as the dust settles, the only thing left standing is truth, your truth, radiant, undeniable, and eternal. You didn't just survive the setup. You became the story that shows the world divine. Justice is never late. It's just dramatic on purpose. Chosen one. This is where the story comes full circle. The storm that once terrified you has calmed. The courtroom that once condemned you now stands silent because the verdict has already been written, not guilty. Every whisper, every lie, every attempt to bury you was part of a greater design. They meant to make you an example, but God made you the standard. You are the living courtroom where truth testifies. Every breath you take is a declaration that justice doesn't need to shout, it simply stands. You didn't just survive the lie, you became the reason others will never be fooled again, because your story has become a light for those still walking through their own night of accusation and silence. You see, justice doesn't always arrive in thunder. Sometimes it walks in quietly wearing the face of restoration. The people who betrayed you have to live with the echo of their own deceit. The ones who doubted you now witness your glow. You don't need to prove anything anymore. The fruit of your endurance has become your defense. You've become the blueprint for divine justice, a living testimony that what's meant to destroy the righteous only polishes them for purpose. They meant to make you an example of failure, but God turned you into a model of faith. They tried to make you a warning. Heaven turned you into a witness. They wanted the crowd to mock you. Now, the same crowd learns from you. If this word touched your soul, type 7F77 in the comments, not as superstition, but as a seal of alignment, because justice has your name on it. Heaven saw every tear, every misunderstanding, every lonely night, and turned it into testimony. You're not just walking into peace, you're walking into purpose. And before we close, I want to say this to every heart listening. Share this message with someone who's still fighting to be understood. Let them know they don't have to chase closure. God already saw the truth. God already cleared their name. They don't have to prove, they just have to persevere. Your story is the reminder that truth doesn't die. It resurrects. That silence isn't surrender, it's strength. And that grace always outlasts gossip. You are living proof that when God is your defense, you will always win the case. Let's close this moment in prayer. Lord, thank you for exposing lies, for restoring dignity, and for proving that stillness is stronger than slander. Let your truth shine through every wounded heart tonight. Heal those who were falsely accused, strengthen those who are still in waiting, and remind every soul listening that your justice never fails. We give you the glory, the honor, and the praise now and forever. Amen.